great. And I guess in terms of, when candidates are researching the need that the company has and trying to find that overlap with what they offer, is there a way you'd maybe like recommend a candidate to kind of smoothly demonstrate that they've done their research without sounding totally rehearsed?
What I guess I would suggest is, and I have heard exactly what you're alluding to, is, people who have scoured the internet and read every news article on the company, and then, they kind of regurgitate that or repeat that back to me. That's nice that you did the research. That's great. But what I'm looking for is the connections. And so if you can show me you've done your research by making a personal connection back to it or asking a question. So, maybe there's something topical that, I noticed your company just went through a merger and acquisition. I'm curious, how might that impact what this role looks like over the next year or two? That would show me that, you've done your research, but you're actually thinking beyond what you read and repeating it back to me, and you're thinking about the application. Or you're saying, I just saw that merger and acquisition, and I've dealt with that company that you've just acquired, and I'm such a fan. I've had such great experiences with that company. And, it's one more reason why I'm excited to work for you now, is that, I think we're going to get the value out of that acquisition. And obviously I'm picking a very big example in a merger and acquisition. Whatever it is, I would say find something that's topical. And if you can ask a question to show your interest and that you're connecting those dots, I think you're really going to get an engaged conversation when you meet with that interviewer.
Yeah, great point. Especially I like the examples you had of basically showing that you researched the need, and now you know how you can offer something to that need, or you can provide some insight to that need or new, development that's happening with that company. So that's a really great way to do it. So thank you. So next, we were kind of just wondering more about how someone can leverage their network while searching for a new job or career opportunity.
The network is such a great opportunity. I think what always stands out in my mind whenever I'm thinking about a network is it's got to be authentic, first and foremost. I will, just given my career and my current role, I do get a lot of people that will reach out. I'll call it kind of a cold call on LinkedIn. And it's difficult because I don't know these people. And so if they're asking for, my help with getting into the company, I mean, it's a large global company. I don't always know the role that they're referring to. It puts me as somebody who someone's looking to be networked with in a position where I'm saying, well, I don't really think I'm in a position to help you. And I hate saying no or ignoring the person, but not sure what I can do here. So I find the most authentic networking is when you've actually made a connection with somebody. And so maybe you've been out and you've been attending events where you have similar interests with someone, and you've met over the course of something outside of work, or maybe it's even a professional designation event. Like for me, it would be an HR. So if I was at an HR event for a local chapter and I met somebody, we connected, and then they see something and say, hey, I would love to know more. You've worked for this company. I'd love to pick your brain about this company. What can you tell me about the culture there? What can you tell me about the work that they have coming in the future? That to me is super authentic. It's somebody I've already known and made a connection with, and they're being somewhat specific in how I can help them, which just takes a bit of pressure off of me as that person they're looking for some help from. As much as possible, focusing in who is it, and what's my connection to them, and how can I ask them for something other than just, hey, can you help me get this job? Can you help give me some insights? Can you share your experience? And people are more often happy to share their experiences rather than feel the pressure of, okay, it's now up to me to help you get that job.
Definitely. And especially in an online sense, when you maybe haven't met the person, it's not like you just met them at your local coffee shop and you have a connection or something. If they're reaching out over LinkedIn, it's more difficult and a bit more onus on you, it feels. So it's good to have, like you're saying, that question that, can you help me with this specific thing? And that's more helpful, I think, for our job seekers and those that are trying to advance in their careers to know how to do that and grow their network while not putting too much on the people that they're trying to network with and potentially scaring them off from being a new connection on LinkedIn.
Yeah. Well, that's it. I find, most people do want to be helpful, but, it can be overwhelming if they don't know how to help. And, really understand where you are in your career. I've had a number of people sent to me through other friends. So I think British call it signposting. So rather than me feeling like I have to do everything, I could signpost. I could direct you to somebody. I don't have experience with what you're looking for, but I do know somebody over here who does. So even recently, I had someone who is teaching part-time at a local college who said they were dealing with a student who was looking to make a career change into HR, and they just wanted to pick my brain about the industry. Great. No problem. I'm happy to share what I can in my personal experience. But that was, that came through not a direct contact, but somebody in my network who I trust and value. And I was happy to do her a favor and meet with somebody who just, wanted to hear my opinion on HR as a career path for her. That worked really well. That doesn't work for everybody, but that had a lot of that authenticity that I was talking about. And it was specific enough that I was agreeable to do it because it wasn't going to be a lot of pressure for me to help get her a job. Just tell her what I could about the industry.
Right. And kind of those like career information sessions are so impactful, and they don't maybe have that immediate payoff where, it's not like you're getting someone a job immediately. It's they're making a decision for their future career, or you're helping inform them on what to do when that decision does come, which you don't see the immediate effect, but it is very effective. Do you find that on LinkedIn, sorry, this is just actually a genuine question I have for you, you get a lot of people kind of more soliciting you without any asking of information session? Are they asking for a job outright, or are they just kind of a blank connection where you don't really have any idea why they're reaching out to you?
Personally, I get a mix, and I guess there are people where I can see, and the nice thing with LinkedIn is you can see your mutual connections. So when somebody reaches out, I know a lot of people do it, the connections on LinkedIn off their phone now, and it doesn't always provide you the opportunity to put a comment in. So that can be a little difficult. Where people are, I still think if you go onto a laptop, you can add comments. And sometimes I'll find people will put something in there to say, hey, I noticed you were part of this network, or you knew these people, and I thought I'd reach out and make the connection. That just feels more personal. It feels more authentic. And so I'm more likely to spend some time on that. Personally, I think I'm 50-50 to those types where there is some common connection between us. I do get a lot of what I called earlier cold calls, where it's people I've never met before. I can't see any common connections. And I'm just kind of scratching my head because I'm thinking, well, I don't know. What is it? What is it that made you click the button to say that you wanted to connect with me? How could I be helpful to you? And those ones I'm a little more hesitant on because I'm just unclear on what the purpose of the connection is.
Definitely. Yeah, like you said, everyone generally wants to help, but they just don't know exactly how to help. So it's helpful to add the prompt in as to how to help before going into it. And you feel like you maybe bit off more than you can chew, or you don't know exactly what to do. So
exactly.
Awesome. And then I guess just still like on the topic of LinkedIn, what are some strategies for making your LinkedIn profile stand out to recruiters and potential connections? I think we've definitely gone in depth of talking about how to make a good maybe initial message to somebody, of making it clear why you're connecting and if you have a connection to them for some reason. But if you were just trying to build up your profile, what would you recommend to people?
When I think about the profile on LinkedIn, it really is still, so what people post is quite different. I've seen some people whose profile is like a full and detailed resume. And then I've seen others where it's a little bit more of a summary. So it's not a complete duplication. I think what matters most in my experience is that there's enough information there that if a actual human is looking at your portfolio, your profile, that they get a sense of that story. They get enough that they can say, okay, I think legitimately this is somebody I should be looking at for my opportunity. So you do want to have enough detail to show what your background is, what your strengths are, what your accomplishments are. So how much information you have, whether it's the full resume or a summary of your experiences, that it really is personal preference, and everybody's going to be a bit different. I think what really matters, though, is there's enough information there that somebody can logically review your profile and say, okay, this is somebody I should investigate further. This is somebody who clearly has some experiences and accomplishments is aligned to what I'm looking for my role. And I mean, keep in mind, it said earlier that it's, if it's a person who's reviewing this, a lot of the times there's large companies that are using an AI or an algorithm to scan the vastness of LinkedIn, and they're looking for phrases and keywords. So the words do matter. You want to be as current as you can on, what are the phrases, in the technology world, like product owner has been around for a few years now, but I've seen somebody recently who they really were in a product manager, product owner or product manager role, but they were calling it something that was a little more dated. So be as current as you possibly can, like pay attention to what you're reading on LinkedIn and notice where maybe your professional background or your industry is starting to evolve to different language.
Yeah, I feel like the company scanning or screening of resumes has been around for a long time, but maybe not so much the AI and the keywords on your LinkedIn profile